Most people set financial goals that not only aren't going to help them, but actually hurt them. Have you ever heard of a goal like make more money or pay off debt? This is an example of a bad goal. We need them to actually set us up to accomplish something. One study showed that by February 1st, 36% of resolvers had already failed. However, people that did set some kind of goal were 10 times more likely to accomplish some kind of positive change in their life than those people who didn't set any kind of goal. So it's worth doing, we just have to be intentional about it. Financial resolutions are some of the most popular types, and everyone's calendar and notes and phones will be full of different versions of them coming into this year. For the sake of keeping things fresh and getting away from that stodgy old word that nobody likes, resolution, let's go ahead and call all of our plans for the future related to our goals actions. We want to set some good action plans. The first example of a bad goal is plan for retirement. Now, why is this goal bad? It's vague, it has no end date, it has nothing to measure, and you have basically no assurance as far as whether or not you've actually done the thing. And you have the potential to end up rationalizing almost any movement in that direction as checking off that box. I watched a couple YouTube videos and I wrote something down on a note card in January, good to go. But in reality, that doesn't really change anything. Here are some examples of good actions you can take instead. If you aren't confident in the kind of retirement related things that your work offers, go ahead and talk to your HR manager and find out. Something like a 401k can be a really powerful tool to help you accomplish your more specific and time-based retirement goals, especially if your employer offers a match, which basically doubles your money on day one. It's awesome. Another goal around your money can just be financial literacy, especially when it comes to retirement terms. There are just a plethora of crazy words out there that you really need to understand, at least at a base level, to make good decisions. So an example of a goal for you this year, if that kind of sounds like you, is to understand this list of words that I'm about to give you well enough to explain it to somebody else who doesn't really know what any of those words mean either. Here's the list. Contribution, compound interest, required minimum distribution, 401k match, after-tax income, before-tax income, tax deduction, 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, amortization, asset, liability, net worth, equity, mortgage, down payment, principal, interest, 529 plan, active portfolio management, asset allocation, capital gains, CD, dividends, index fund, ETF, expense ratio, HSA, inflation, rebalancing, refinance, target date fund, taxable account, and vesting schedule. There's obviously a lot more, but if you get those nailed down to where you can kind of describe it in your own vernacular, you'll be ready to make some better decisions this year. Another good retirement related goal would be to finally set up a Roth IRA, get your automatic contributions scheduled, and go ahead and get those things rolling with the investment of your choice. So remember, a Roth IRA isn't the actual investment itself, it's just the account where that investment goes. So define type of account, Roth IRA, whatever you want to choose, but a Roth is great. The amount that you want to contribute each month. Remember that the contribution limit for the year is $6,000. Let's double check that for 2021. Yeah, it's the same. And then choose what you want to invest in. A really easy and set it and forget it option would be something like a target date fund. Just remember to look for a really low expense ratio. The next example of a bad goal is save more. Why it's bad? Again, it's so vague. At least it does imply that you're saving more money than you did the previous year, so you have a little bit of a benchmark there, but it doesn't factor in any specific goals, any specific place to put the money, or any reason why you're saving in the first place. What are you saving for? Here's some examples of good actions to take instead around saving. First, you could have a goal to save 3 or 5 or 6 months of your living expenses. If you want a little bit bigger buffer, you could go up to 6 months or even more. Some people have 2 or 3 years worth of cash saved. That's a lot. The best way to do this is to automate your savings. So if your bank doesn't have a kind of automatic transfer deal where you can pick a certain amount of money and send it to a different account every month, you've got to find a bank that does. We use Ally Bank for our kind of emergency fund savings and long-term savings. And not only can you have multiple different accounts with them or multiple different CDs like we have, they also have a feature called buckets. So within one savings account, you can direct different amounts of money for different goals. So like new car savings, replace the air conditioner, and vacation to Tahiti in December, whatever. Another good action step to take around saving and just managing your money in general is to automate your bill pay. Automating your bills can be one of the most stress relieving and simple things. You literally set it up once and then it's just handled for forever. Oftentimes you can pick the day of the month that your bill gets paid, so you know to count on having the money in the right account so that when it gets taken out, you're covered, no overdraft, no problem, no stress. A third money saving related goal is to look ahead to 2021 and forecast big spending events. I alluded to this before, but if you know that your car is going to need new tires in like 6 months, just take what you expect to spend on those new tires, divide it by 6, automatically set up your savings to transfer over 1/6 of that amount into a separate account, into some designated place so you know that it's not there for anything but tires. And then you know whenever that day comes, no problem, no debt, no extra interest. Awesome. The third bad goal is a very generic make more money. Now, why is this a bad goal? It sounds so great. Well, without a specific plan for this, it's really just a hope, a dream, a wish. I would love to make more money. We need to ask ourselves the kind of realistic questions like, what will this require me to give up to actually go out and generate more money somehow? Is it time? Is it something else? How will we still get all the other things we need to get done in life done and generate this extra income? Do you need to figure out childcare? How to get a ride somewhere? Does the expectation about what your weekend leisure time look like need to get kind of revamped with your family or friends to say, hey, 2021 is going to be a little different. I'm working every Saturday so I can save up enough money to put a down payment on a house, pay off my debts, whatever that action step is for you. If you haven't yet started the process of really figuring out what these steps are and what other questions you need to ask, why not? Take those first steps and find out those answers. Some good actions to take instead whenever you want to make more money is first to take advantage of your current job. If you're still employed, be thankful. Millions of people lost their jobs in 2020, so the fact that you and I still have work is awesome. If it's simple enough for you to just log more hours and work more and then get paid a proportionally larger amount or maybe get time and a half, that's awesome. That could be the simplest way for you to immediately boost your income. Just work out those other logistics in your life if you need to and go for it. Getting paid without regard to your time spent there as a salary employee like I am gets a little bit more tricky, and it just forces us to think a little bit more long term. If I spend an extra 2 hours a day at the office, I won't get paid for those 2 hours right now. But the fact is that if I'm getting more done and I'm adding more value, well, I would hope that that would be then recognized and put me in line for something like a raise or a promotion. Now, this obviously has to make sense for you and your life situation, but consider the fact that you already have a job, it's already working, you're getting paid. So what can you do to add the most value there, to bring the most profit in the door, and then to potentially share in that profit? Another good action step to take whenever you want to make more money is if that first option of taking advantage of your current job doesn't really make sense for you and you need to look for work elsewhere, then don't wait. Get started now and take action. The whole concept of like a side hustle was really popular, and then 2020 hit and it just became insanely popular. There are a ton of side hustle ideas. I looked it up, and YouTube alone gets searched 350,000 times per month for the term side hustles. There are a ton of ideas out there. One word in particular is pretty huge right now: delivery. I'll leave you to your own research. A third good action step to consider whenever we're talking about making more money is to consider the fact that you actually have less control over the money you make versus the money that you spend. You know, if we had total control over everything we made, we'd all be making millions or billions of dollars a year. Outside of extenuating circumstances like health concerns or other things that have been imposed upon you, you have total control over every dollar you spend. I didn't have to go spend $4.02 on that bean burrito today from Los Taquitos, but I did, and I loved it, but I didn't have to. I could have brought food from home, spent less money, and then saved or invested the difference. Over this whole next year, I have that same option. I know the idea of making more money is a lot more exciting than considering how you can cut back expenses, but the fact is that you can start cutting back expenses right now, immediately, if you choose to, and making more money has a little bit of a longer lead time. By now, you can probably see a theme in what makes for a good action plan, and that's just doing some of the heavy lifting ahead of time. Think through the steps that it will take to actually accomplish a goal, flesh out the details. Is that right? Flesh out the details? Is that a thing? Having more detail in our action plan and some time-related goals too helps us to just do the heavy lifting ahead of time so that when we're in the moment and we have to actually decide, am I going to go ahead and do the new goal, or am I going to go back to my old habits and the old way that I've done things for forever? Well, it makes that a little bit easier because it's really specific. It's already spelled out. All we have to do is opt into the new goal and we're moving in the right direction. Another tip is once you have this detailed action plan kind of set up and you've done all the hard thinking, then leave yourself little reminders everywhere. Make it easy to remember. Make it easy to have it on the front of your mind. Leave yourself reminders on the bathroom mirror, in your phone, in your vehicle, at work, wherever you'll see them. If it feels too personal to list out the whole goal or why you're doing what you're doing, just leave yourself a little keyword or phrase so that you know what you're telling yourself. And if you want to get really nerdy like I do about this, you can go ahead and set up a goal tracker through something like Google Sheets or through Notion. Both of those are free and they're really powerful tools. And you can actually look up on Notion some free habit tracker templates and get started right away. For more on developing good new habits, I really recommend James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. By far the best book on habits I've ever read. It's pretty cheap on Amazon and it's free from your local library. Finally, if one of your goals is to actually save up cash in 2021 or beyond, I made a few videos this year about 2 new services that just came out called Yotta Savings and Prize Pool. Both of them keep your money in FDIC insured banks, Evolve Bank, and they use that money that you deposited to give you a certain amount of entries into their sweepstakes. It's literally a savings account, but as a reward for saving with them, they enter you into a drawing to win cash prizes every week. So I know that sounds really strange if you're from the United States like I am. It's a way more normal thing in the UK because they have something called premium bonds. And so it basically kind of mimics like a lottery, as cringy as that sounds, and it helps people to save more because it's just a lot more fun to save more if you have a chance of winning money than if you're just getting 0.3 or 0.5%, which is like a normal savings rate right now for the end of 2020. Thus far, I've been making like 20 times with these 2 apps what I have been making with Ally Bank. So if anything, I'm planning on putting more and more money into those 2 apps and taking money out of Ally Bank because we get a better return. So it makes sense. And it's fun. I like it. If you've got any questions for me, leave me a comment below. Or if you've got any ideas for what are some other great action plans around your finances for 2021, share them in the comments. I'm interested to see what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.